I love to cook and eat, more importantly, but I've given up my beautiful, bespoke, handmade, fully equipped 30-meter square kitchen, and I'm about to spend a year traveling, living, working, and cooking from a tiny 2-meter square kitchen in our van. While I've given up my kitchen, I'm not willing to give up on cooking and baking for a year. So how am I going to make this work? Join me as we prepare for life, and in particular food, on the road as we travel across Europe and beyond in our converted camper van. Hello my love, welcome back. So today I want to bring you behind the scenes of some of the preparations that we're making for a year of traveling, and specifically a year of living in our van. I want to talk to you about cooking and eating on the road. Oh my God, wait until I tell you where we traveled to get the fridge for our van. We traveled through actual countries to get it. Let me know in the comments, have a guess, and then when I share later when we went, we can see if you were right. So I don't just like cooking, I love cooking. I love cooking and baking and meal planning and shopping and thinking about food. I love it all of it. Cooking is often how I unwind at the end of a day. It's how I switch off the business owning part of my brain and just soften into the evening activities. I just find it really mindful. I know not everybody does, but this is my thing. But we're about to significantly downsize our lives, and importantly for me, our kitchen for our family gap year. But here's the thing though, food is really part of the allure of travel for me. One of my clients actually says that the two most important things that you need to look for when deciding on where to travel to are food and views, and I happen to agree. So it's not something that I want to compromise on or give up. I absolutely love when we go to new places and I get to explore and sample the different cultures and their cuisines and dishes. I absolutely adore that. I love milling around different markets and supermarkets abroad and trying my hand at making new dishes from the different things that I've tried. So I really want to embrace that. My mouth is literally watering just thinking about that. I really want to embrace that, even though we're going to have an extremely tiny kitchen. And it's not just me. So I think like my husband and I are quite a perfect pair in so much that he matches my passion for cooking with his passion for eating what I cook. He's a well-fed man and he doesn't complain. He's felt just as motivated to make sure that we can cater for our needs on the road. Oh, terrible pun, that was not intended. But that we can continue cooking and eating. Okay, it's going to be in different ways because there's going to be all sorts of different produce and things available, but with that same excitement and enthusiasm and that same way of embracing cooking so much from scratch that we've enjoyed. So we eat very well as a family. I cook pretty much everything from scratch just because it's important to me. I know that's not everybody's thing, not everybody wants to or can or likes to make time for it, but for me and our family, it's important. So you might have even already picked up on this, given that the second phase to our dream life is having our own homestead or farm where we can grow and raise the majority eventually of our own food. We're pretty particular about our food. We're going to extremely great lengths to live a life where we get to really control the provenance of our food. So, you know, you're getting a bit of a hint there anyway. So all of this just to say, finding a way of cooking and eating in the van that satisfies us has been hugely important. So come with me today and we can talk about some of the ways that we've been preparing for a year of cooking and eating and also living in a van. I've got you on my phone now because I thought it might be easier to bring you around and talk about some of these challenges. So when you go from this to this, it's easy to understand some of the challenges that we're having with regards to cooking in a van. Storage is the most obvious challenge of all, isn't it? Let me take you into the van and we can have a look at what the storage situation is and some of the things that we're having to solve for. Okay, let's go outside, and on the way, you're going to see a little bit of the unsexy reality behind building the dream right now. Look at this. Storage boxes there. Storage boxes there. Look, they're literally almost the same height as me. Okay, so this is the van. Here she is. She doesn't even fit on the wide angle view of my camera here. I know what you're thinking. You're gonna live in that. It's not done. Yes, we're only a few weeks away, and it's probably at that really terrible point of it really doesn't look pretty because it's all in progress right now. It would be so much easier to do this kind of content if it was looking all cute and pretty. We can just talk about where will I put these spoons? Where will I put these plates? But actually, the biggest problem right now is finishing the thing. But anyway, onwards. Welcome to our van. Isn't she pretty? Don't worry, it's going to be done. Don't worry for me. Actually, let me just spin you around and look at the situation in here. Okay, so on the floor there is the shower cubicle. It will actually go in that space there on that board, but Kayvan has been drilling holes in it and things to do with the plumbing. As you can see, it doesn't look like as much has been done as it has, but it's been fully wired, almost entirely fully plumbed. The shower's the last piece, and the kitchen is actually getting there. Okay, we're facing the other way now. Here's the kitchen. We had a bit of an accident, so we need to refinish some of that cabinet there. So ignore the white blotch. I don't know if this is picking it up or if the other footage will pick it up, but it is a kind of like very, very pale blush pink, peachy pink, which I chose on purpose because it's really easy for the van to get kind of masculine looking. So we've got storage in various different places. So there's some storage up here. These are some like little neat units that we've got going, just two of them. And then Kayvan's been building, painting and doing all of this. So this is the kitchen. So this is the entirety of it. Obviously there's tools in the way. Like I said, it's not the prettiest time to film, but it is what it is. So we've got a number of drawers here. And two drawers here. This is, I don't know if I can open it. No, I can't open it and show you. This actually flaps open, so there's just a little void in there that we can fit in, you know, like washing up liquid, dish brush, that type of thing. And there's a little narrow, shallow unit here, and then more drawers down here. But that's it for the kitchen. So when you compare that to my old kitchen, obviously we're going to have to do quite a bit of downsizing. So we have a lot of questions to answer in terms of, you know, how do we minimize down? We obviously have minimal space for things like utensils, tableware, cookware, that kind of thing. But then there's also things like we quite often buy things in bulk. Will we have any storage for bulk items? What about pantry staples? Flour, sugar, oats, spices? How am I going to reduce down these kind of things? So these are some of the things that I'm thinking about at the moment and trying to prepare for. I think I'm going to do a bit of a, once he's finished just taking care of the aesthetics with the door there, I think I'm going to do a bit of a practice pack of the kitchen, just so I have like that full inventory of exactly what we're taking and what we're leaving. I'll be honest though, this kind of stuff, having to be really intentional about our possessions, having to embrace minimalism, this is the shit that I enjoy. This isn't something that feels like an onerous task for me. I love it because I have a bit of like a minimalist heart. I think I don't really necessarily execute on that, and I live with a couple of hoarders. So I'm actually really looking forward to the challenge of minimizing our possessions, and the kitchen's one of them. So you've seen the kitchen and the storage that we have in here, but we actually have another storage option. The roof. So, let me just get up here a little minute. So, you are on the roof of the van right now. This is going to have a giant solar panel or two on it. However, it will also have some storage space. So we're going to keep things like sports gear up here, so smelly trainers, that kind of thing, so they're not in the van with us. But also we think we are going to have some storage containers to bring a few of the bulk items that we kind of like feel like we might want. We will still have to pick and choose. We won't be able to bring everything, but there will be some storage up here. Now I have to get back down with the camera. Come and join me on the floor of the van. I had to go and get a light because otherwise it's so dark in here you couldn't actually see me. The second challenge that we have is baking. As you can see, we don't have space in here for an oven, right? However, I really love baking. I just adore baking all of our bread at this point. I'm massively into sourdough. You've seen me stress baking before. And I like, you know, baking other stuff, cakes, that kind of thing. And I really don't want to live without that daily bread on the road, and it's just, there's something about it, it's very therapeutic for me to make. I don't do well with anything that isn't sourdough, so that isn't fermented grain wise. So for me, if I'm going to be eating bread, I do kind of need it to be sourdough. So how the heck can we bake in this tiny little kitchen? Well, we have overcome it in parts. And this little bad boy here is a combi oven. So yes, it is a microwave. No, I'm not a fan of microwave cooking, but it also actually functions as a proper oven. Not baking a cake in a microwave situation, not that. Not one of those microwave mug cakes, although I have made one of those before. That's not what we're doing here. We're not microwaving a cake or a loaf of bread. This will actually serve as an oven. So I've even baked bread in here. When we first took the van to Ireland last year, I brought my sourdough starter with me. I mean, who doesn't travel with their sourdough starter? And we had a go. I baked a sandwich loaf in there and it worked perfectly. I don't actually have a photo of the loaf because we just ate it, but you can see a photo here of my sourdough starter in Ireland, in the middle of the countryside. So we've solved it that far. However, the artisan loaf that I like to bake the most, so it's the thing that we eat the most, so I make 2, 3, 4, not 3, they come out in 2s, I make them in 2s, 2 or 4 per week. We can't do in here, because to do them I preheat like what's known as a Dutch oven or a cast iron casserole, depending where you are in the world. I preheat it really hot and keep it preheated in the oven for about half an hour before I actually put the loaf in. We can't do that in there. It's not feasible. I don't know that that oven would get up to that really top temperature anyway. I don't think we could put the cast iron Dutch oven in it. It's too big and too heavy. And also we are going to have to consider power somewhat. We've got this thing rigged up for off-grid power. We're going to, we hope, we think, have plenty stored in batteries that are running off of the solar panels, and we can also plug in if we want to somewhere and top up. So it's not that we can't be using electrical items, but something like that, having something just preheating for half an hour is not really feasible either. So my husband and I embarked on a bit of an experiment to see if we could bake an artisan loaf of bread in our portable mini gas barbecue that we are bringing with us. So as it stands, we haven't actually fully solved for that yet. We're almost there, but we've had some absolute disasters during this experiment, and we're close, but we haven't quite got it to the point where it's the same as in the oven at home. So I don't know if we're going to actually fully solve that part of this particular challenge.
The next challenge for us to solve was
fridge space. As you can see, we have a pretty big fridge. I mean, depends if you're North American, maybe not that big, but here in the UK, this is quite a big fridge. And we don't need all of this in here, do we? So actually, fridge isn't that full today because it's food shop day tomorrow. We tend to store a lot of stuff in here, and actually I'm just realizing these 2 shelves are full of condiments and things. We might have to let go of our obsession with chutneys and jams and pickles and whatnot, but we do like to store quite a bit of food. I mean, do we need wine, champagne, and I think down here we have some Sicilian limoncello chilling at all times whilst during van life? Probably not. I mean, maybe, but probably not. So there's some compromises that we can make there. But we are used to a sizable fridge. Let me tell you about the fridge. So we've established we're big foodies. Food's important to us. We want to store a lot of food in the fridge, right? And also things like, you know, I'm into sourdough. This is the size of my sourdough starter jar. That's coming with us, and I have reasons for wanting this much starter on hand. It seems like a lot, and actually there's only a bit down here right now, but I use a lot of it to make sourdough skillet pizzas, which are so good. Anyway, so we knew we wanted to get a big fridge for the van, as big as we could fit in the space that we have. Okay, so this space behind me here between these 2 bars, if you can see, it goes from about this high here, which is kind of about shin height for me, up to here. This is the space that the fridge will go in. Now, wouldn't it have been lovely if I could have recorded this video and shown you this fridge that we travelled so much distance for? Yet it has to be out because, as you can appreciate, there's a whole lot of gubbins I would describe this as gubbins. If Caveman was here, he would have more technical phrases and would be able to describe all of these things that he's created for you, but we'll call them gubbins. All of this gubbins behind the fridge that lives behind it. So because he needs to be getting to this plumbing and electrical work, the fridge is not in here right now. And I asked him, well, can I at least film the fridge? Where is it? And it's essentially buried in the depths of the garage, and I can't show you. It's a shame because it's actually a really nifty fridge. I'll show you some other time. It opens from both sides, so you can just decide which side you want to open it from. Pretty cool, right? But you can see, I'm hoping you can see, if I hold you out far enough, maybe, the size of it. It's really quite big. So I feel like for fridge space, at least, we've got ourselves pretty much covered. I think it absolutely was worth the mammoth journey that we went on to get it, because we don't want to be faffing about with a tiny fridge and not being able to fit the produce and things that we want inside it. So that does feel like it's solved. Actually, it doesn't look solved right now because it's not there. But it is solved because we have it and it fits. Here's the thing. When Caveman was first designing the whole layout of the van, which he did months, if not years ago at this point, he then started sourcing the main items for it, and the fridge was one of the things that he was looking for. So we knew that fridge space was going to be important, and he did his research and found a fridge which is specifically designed for a van. So the reason why we can't just put a regular fridge in the van, apart from the size, is also the shape. The van actually kind of like slightly comes in, so you need a fridge that is specifically for van conversions and motorhomes, that sort of thing, that actually caters for that shape. So he found the perfect fridge, fits the size like chef's kiss, fits the size perfectly, and put it in his list of things to order as and when we needed it. Came to order it, it was out of stock. Looked for another supplier, out of stock. Looked for another supplier, out of stock. Contacted a couple of the suppliers and they said, oh, we think it's been discontinued. We're not actually able to get a hold of it anymore. And he was like, what the heck? So he looked around, as you would, for an alternative. And the next biggest fridge that we could buy was 30% smaller in capacity. So that would be losing 30% of our fridge space. That was not something that we were willing to sacrifice. So he tracked down the actual manufacturer of this fridge and contacted them. And like I said, they're in another country. And so it turns out that they haven't actually stopped making them. They've just stopped shipping them to the UK because after Brexit, all of the like shipping fees and taxes and duties and whatnot were just prohibitively expensive for them. It wasn't making it worth their while. Oh, thanks for that, Brexit. So he said, well, could I just pay you to pay a courier? And they were like, no. They said, if you want one, you can come and get one. So that's exactly what we did. So we drove through the Channel Tunnel. Through France. Through Belgium. To the Netherlands to pick up this fridge. Yes. We went all the way there and all the way back in less than 24 hours between Christmas and New Year. Literally just slammed it. But worth it for the fridge space. Yeah, we're that committed to our food. So that challenge is sorted. I mean, technically not fully sorted because it's not actually installed in the van. Minor formality. These are just a few of the challenges that we've been tackling as we prepare for van life as a family. I'm curious to know, what do you think would be challenging for you about living in a van and or traveling with your family for a year? Let me know in the comments. I'm definitely curious. The way I see it though is that there's just going to be challenges on the way to living the dream life. It's just part of the path, right? But overcoming them every single time takes us one step closer to living the dream. So yes, sometimes the challenges get annoying, sometimes they're actually kind of like fun to solve or overcome, but ultimately they're also worth it because we've got that big vision for ourselves that is so much more compelling than any challenge or problem that we've got to solve in the meantime. So the next thing that I'm going to be focusing on is clothing. How the heck do you pack enough clothes for a year on the road, especially when you see the size of storage that I've got for that? Am I going to be able to do it? Guess I'll find out. I'll be bringing you along for that particular ride very soon, so keep an eye out for that video. And until next time, cheers. Here's to living your dream life.